Good afternoon, and welcome to our discussion of reality and appearance in Act 5 of Hamlet,
followed by our analysis of the masculine and the feminine in the final scenes of the play.
First, reality and appearances. As Act 5 opens, the gravediggers, who represent the majority of ordinary people, see through the obfuscation of Ophelia's death. They recognize that she probably drowned herself.
Plus, they recognize that Ophelia is being treated with favoritism, being buried in the blessed part of the cemetery despite her suspected suicide, because she comes from a high class in society.
They have this conversation while digging her grave, an occupation that puts them closer to the truth of human mortality than any other characters in the play.
Except maybe philosophers like Hamlet and Horatio. But even melancholy Hamlet comments on their easiness with death.
Even in their wordplay with Hamlet, they do not lie. When the gravedigger identifies the grave that he is digging as his own, he means that it is his job, his project, rather than his own literal grave.
In fact, the gravediggers and philosophers in this play are similar in their frankness about the egalitarian nature of death. Hamlet points out that the skull could have belonged to a politician, a courtier, or a lawyer,
or a clown. Hamlet agrees that the reality of death cuts through all illusion, that wearing makeup an inch thick will not disguise a woman from the inevitability of death. Interesting that he mentions the vanity of women in particular here, but we'll save that detail for later.
Yes, let's note that he's not focusing only on women here. He emphasizes that all skeletons, even Alexander the Great's, look the same.
Only to find out that it belonged to Yorick, the court jester.
In fact, this scene involves the most frank conversation in a play that is full of intrigue. Even the priest acknowledges his disdain for the favoritism of Ophelia, who should in ground unsanctified have lodged until Judgment Day.
Except for the fact that Hamlet does not reveal his true identity, but rather quizzes them to see what the public thinks has happened to him.
Yes. Apparently the public thinks that Hamlet has been sent to England to cure his madness,
when in reality Claudius has sent him away to be executed in England.
Yet, illusion within illusion, Hamlet has planted the letter ordering his execution on Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, causing their deaths instead of his own.
So the backdrop of Act 5 remains redolent of intrigue and illusion.
Not ultimately. Even in this scene, Hamlet must be sincere when he leaps into Ophelia's grave.
True, he has no other motive. Maybe he really did love Ophelia.
Most certainly. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel so betrayed by her spying on him for Polonius and Claudius in Acts 2 and 3.
Hamlet's sincerity in this scene reflects his unsettled nature, first jumping into the grave, raving at Laertes, then asking him sincerely, "What is the reason that you use me thus?"
Yes. To Laertes, who has lost his father and sister because of Hamlet.
And unknowingly, Hamlet's spectacle at Ophelia's funeral speeds up Claudius and Laertes' secret plot to kill Hamlet in a duel.
Hamlet's last line in the funeral scene shows his confidence in the truth. According to their true natures, the cat will mew and dog will have his day.
I agree. And as the truth approaches, people respond organically. Hamlet experiences sleep disturbances resulting from his internal conflict over reality and illusion.
Ultimately, he knows that a divinity shapes our ends. In other words, we cannot escape the truth of our destinies.
And yet Hamlet has saved his own life by sneaking around, planting the letter for his execution on Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Only in response to Claudius's treachery, remember.
Hamlet knows that he is bonneted round with villainies in this play.
The character of Osric, struggling to agree with anything that Hamlet says, symbolizes the habit of lying to flatter the higher class.
And Hamlet and Horatio lead him on, making fun of him.
Yet Hamlet agrees to accept Claudius's challenge to duel Laertes even though he does not want to.
But Hamlet accepts the challenge because he believes in fate, not because he worries about his reputation.
Thought's true. He predicts his own loss, comparing it to the falling of a sparrow.
And both Hamlet and Laertes forgive each other publicly before the duel. Laertes is very frank about his only motive, to defend his family's honor.
By the last scene, the only character who is still putting on appearances is Claudius. In fact, appearances are more important to him than Gertrude's life.
Yes, instead of stopping her from drinking Hamlet's poisoned wine, he mutters that it is too late,
leading to the revelation of Claudius's plot in the pile of corpses on stage at the end of the play.
If death is the ultimate truth, truth definitely dominates these final moments.
Do you believe that Hamlet will be seeing flights of angels? Personally, I think Horatio is kidding himself. After all, Hamlet killed Polonius.
Maybe not a conventional Christian heaven. But by that time, I think the audience has enough sympathy to want the best for Hamlet, too.
Uh-oh. Someone's coming. Time to hide.
That was a close one. Weren't we going to move on to the masculine and feminine at the end of the play?
Well, since Act 5 begins with Ophelia's funeral,
and Gertrude is the first person to die during the duel, it appears as if Shakespeare finds men dominant in their society,
or women are too innocent to be a part of the horrors that end the play.
Overall, their death before the main catastrophe, together with all the macho goings-on such as the duel,
not to mention the military threat from Fort Imbros, frees women from the action of the play, just as their role in society freed them from meaningful power.
But wait a minute. Gertrude's relationship with Claudius causes the murder that spurs Hamlet's revenge.
And the death of Ophelia, perhaps by suicide, incites Laertes to plot with Claudius to kill Hamlet.
So even passive femininity is a powerful plot engine in the play. The women start it, and the men get the job done?
If a pile of corpses and a disappointed Fort Imbros, too late for the party, is what you call getting the job done.
Uh-oh. I feel a terrific lecture coming on. Time to turn in.
Sure. Lights out, then.